Welcome to this. I think it wasn't me who was supposed to start, but anyway, I can take it on here. Then let's go through some of the tips and tricks. I'll start with a bit of an update on the reporting module. As Klaus just so excellently demonstrated, we can do a lot of things in this, and I'd like to take you back a bit by some of the visions we have with building this new report module and why we did that. So just really briefly, and I would like to talk more in depth with you at a later stage on this if need to. But the idea was that the current technology in the classic report modules is at end of life and end of use, and it's old technology. So we needed to update that and build a new one. And one of the ideas was it should be easy to use. And in the classic report module, those of you who have used that, you need to do a lot of things and then either actually create the report or press the preview before you can see get some feedback on the choices you've made. So the idea with the new one here is that once you do something, you can see straight away what it is that's happened. So say, as Klaus just demoed, if you actually add on time, straight away the result of that action. And also we would like to build it as a what you see is what you get, so you can rename the column as Klaus showed, and once you export it, if you want to export it, that name remains. So the export and the changes, it matches, and you can expect it. So in the Excel and the CSV, those names is being kept. And what we also wanted is the ability to give you the flexibilities. It's a lot about flexibility in the report module. And we want to provide the flexibility to create the stories you want to tell using your own data, right? So yeah, be able to tell the research stories and build the narrative you want. And for that, we invented the data stories this time around, which we don't really have in the classic module, where you really can. So the idea is you build up your data by using data tables, and you can have multiple data tables on the different types of data you want. And then in the data story, you can then start combining these different types of information, add your graphs, your widgets, tables, and so on and so forth. And as mentioned yesterday in the roadmap section, and this is an area we are going to put more effort into, again, to give you the flexibility also, as you mentioned, Sarah. So it's a lot about flexibility in the report module. But what we also wanted to do with the report module is we wanted to use it for something also just within Pure. So there's a lot of power in the report module, and we put a lot of effort in to make it run faster, even though it's not always as fast as we would like it to be, but something we always conscious about and constantly trying to optimize. And I would say compared to the classic one, that there are really a huge difference in these two modules here. And we wanted to use this for something inside Pure, and as Chris will show after this, is that in the UK they have the ref, and it's about to get how to get overview of all the data you need in ref, and we actually are using the new report module to provide that information. And as mentioned, Chris will show more on that. And also in the process of building the report module, we are listening to a lot of feedback from you guys, the clients here. So whether that's interviews and feedback and client interviews when we are doing discovery and investigating what it is we need to do and what we can and can't do, and just get more information about what is it, the type of workflows you are actually using and want to use with the report module, as well as the improvements, the votes you are doing on that is also really helpful for us in order to prioritize what it is we need to do. And then just really quickly, outer beta, as mentioned also yesterday, we have 3 phases. 2 of them are complete. What we are missing is the scheduling of the workspaces and more roles, again, in the name of flexibility, so you can choose who should have access to the report module and be able to report on whatever belongs to your part of your organization hierarchy by using local roles. Yeah, so that was a bit about why we built the new one, some of the vision behind it, and also what we also will use it for. And now I will hand it over to Chris to show some of these examples as mentioned and the rest of the guy. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicolaj. Yeah, well, hello everybody. Well, the things. Thank you for joining us. I'm the Research Systems Administrator at Lancaster University, and as Nicolaj said, part of the role we've got going at the moment is that we in the UK are currently going through our REF period, which stands for our Research Excellence Framework. And very kindly, Elsevier have been using the new reporting module to really help us facilitate everything that's going on. So not only have they built the REF system for us in, they've used the new reporting module to create some summary screens, and I'm just going to go through some of the background information for that we found really helpful. Again, this is a brief overview because we only got a short amount of time. Like most things in Pure, you can either talk for 5 minutes on something or for an hour. So I do apologise if anything is rushed, but we've got a lot to get through. So going on. So the summary screen reports, the summary screens they load every time that you load things. They give us up-to-date information. They come and have a large amount of information coming up onto the screen. This is a screenshot of an example of one of the very many reports that we do actually have coming through. As you can see, it's a table view that gives us a good strong breakdown. It's a lot of aggregated reports. We have some tick boxes which give us inbuilt filtering, and all the text that's in blue you can actually click on and gives us a drop down list where we can access the information that we need. So as you can see, anything that's a 4-star output, we can click on the number 1 that's in the table there, and it'll actually tell us which output it is. We can click on that and it will open up and we can edit it. Most important aspect for one of these as well is that you can see in the top right hand corner we have an export button, so we can export these tables and raw data into Excel, so we can really drill down and do some extra analytics for ourselves, and that's been very useful for us throughout this period. The sharing reports, not only can we build the reports and download them coming up, but we can share particular reports as well. And Elsevier very kindly shares all of the background ref reports with the institutions. So if we were to run one of these and we needed to make any bespoke changes to it, we can click on the highlighted share function here. We can select specific users within the university, click it and share it, and then we can both run it at the same time. So it enables very quick, very up-to-date information to be shared. Things. The details and summaries that come up to it, the summary screens allow us a great amount of flexibility coming up. So you can see again here that we have the top layer, which is just the aggregated numbers, the reports that are coming in, but you can click on them and get the much more detailed reports. And when you export it, you get the background raw data as well. And this really wasn't available in the previous reporting module, where we'd have to ask Elsevier to build something, they'd send it to us and we'd have to upload it into the system, and it was quite cumbersome. Whereas the ability to share the report with all the institutions in the UK and then within our own institution share it with other users has been quite, very useful and integral to the ref reporting section at this time. Okay, so that's how we've been using the new reporting module with the ref. I think I'll be handing over to Dan now, who will be talking about the awards management process, and then I'll be back with some of the more hints and tips that I've come across whilst using the new reporting module. So Dan, handing over to you. You're muted, Dan.
Cheers, Chris. As Chris mentioned, I'll be going through some of the award management reporting that we use in the UK. My name's Dan Festival, and I'm the Information System Officer at the University of Portsmouth. Firstly, the award management reporting it's generally a quick way of extracting good headline figures in Pure for heads and managers. They sometimes do ask for this sort of information on a quick turnaround in order to get some analysis done. At this point in time, our probably most in-depth and regular use of the award management reporting is a new biannual report that we're doing for our research centres. Some of these can be seen on examples on screenshots, which I'll show you in a minute. The report was developed, among other reasons, to show applications and funding data for a defined period. So this utilises both raw data and visual charts in order to give the people who need to know the best overview in the shortest amount of time. Whilst we currently extract this data and convert it into other document types, such as Excel or even Word, we do expect that future progressions in the reporting module will allow us to build and send these types of reports directly to those who need it using Pure, so we can eliminate the need to download and manipulate the data in that way. So that's kind of briefly how we utilise the reporting on award management modules. But something to look out for that we've noticed when building these types of reports, as you can see on the screen there, is that the main snag we came across is when displaying the applied amount when we have expanded the report. It sometimes comes up that you can't always trust the initial figure that you see. I hope you can see on the screenshot there, it might be a bit small and blurry, but if you click on the figure, it can sometimes show you that the true figure is actually smaller. So this we've had to sometimes work around manually by checking and clicking on the amounts that's shown and shows the correct figure, and we have to transpose that into a spreadsheet. I have attached a caveat to this though, is at the time putting the presentation together, I was unsure whether this would have been fixed in an upgrade, which will obviously render my advice moot. But those running earlier versions, I guess, would still probably have to look out for it. And the small time I've had a look at 5.19, it does look like it may have been fixed, but we haven't got it running yet to be able to test it properly. So, and if I go forward now, I'll be able to show you a couple of screenshots of the type of report that we send to our research centres. So you can see there, obviously using a very small data set, but the kind of data that we'd be sending out for both funding and applications. And you can probably see along the bottom as well, there are a lot of other tabs. So using the reporting module for this sort of report can get a lot of information out at a very quick rate, which is always a good thing. So that ends my small contribution. So I'll hand back to Chris now for his top tips.
Okay, thank you, Dan, for that. Going on, so again, these are limited the tips to some of the big ones that when I've been talking to colleagues in the system, the ones that I found useful things. Obviously, I can only cover so many. It's as I said before, you can go through an hour trying to train people and do different things on the new reporting module. There's just so much available for it. So the biggest tip that I can ask people when using the reporting module is to know what you want to get out of it. Often I get asked to produce reports with people saying, can Pure give me this? And I have to talk to them and say, what do you actually want out of it? Because there's just so much information available to you. So one of the screenshots I got from it is that all these sections are in the new reporting module and they all interconnect. So sometimes you might want to know something about the research outputs, but actually you want to know about the authors of the research outputs. So you need to start with research outputs, but then migrate into the person section. So you really need to know where you want to start before you begin, so you can start laying out and planning your reports and how it'll eventually get exported into Excel. Okay, renaming columns. I know Nicolaj has gone on about it before, but it is really important to rename the columns during certain times. It's been so fundamental when changing it from the classic reporting module with people saying what is research output column K before. It's like research output 16 in some of our larger reports, and it's been so important to rename them coming in. So I've got a quick screenshot on the screen now. This from dummy dataset that we've got. The original column name on this one was just person, which still it's technically correct, which is why Pure puts it in, but it's actually there's a pre-existing filter on it, so it's who is the output attributed to. So it needs to be or it's the attributed output. So we needed to rename the column to make it very clear that it's not just outputs linked to this person, but outputs that have been specifically attributed to them. So whether you're doing it for yourself or you're sharing a report, particularly if you're sharing the reports, please don't be afraid to rename the column titles. You can expand and contrast the columns within Pure Excel, and I've not yet bumped into a character limit with the column titles. I mean, I've not pushed it to, you know, big extremes, but I've been able to put additional notes on it, brackets, so it's like attributed outputs, brackets only for UA 7 with using filters X, Y, and Z, close brackets. So when I saved it and shared it to people, it's very clearly labeled what is in. So it's a very important tip, that one. Don't just go with the defaults if you can change it. Refreshing. When I've been speaking to people, there's often been a bit of time when people are saying they've loaded it, they've changed some data, but they need to refresh it again, and a lot of people close it and reopen it. One of my quick tips for that is that if you just highlight the column that you want to change, so I've clicked on column B, and if you use the same selection, so this one again is title, it's already been used. If I just click title again, it will refresh all the data in the table. So I don't need to close it and reopen it. I just need to re-click on it. It doesn't change any of the settings, it just reloads the data. Then adding report categories. This is an admin level thing, so it's for anybody for institutions and things. Elsevier has provided us a default list of categories for the ref module so that you can select which categories things in. I found that it's somewhat limiting in what we do, so I look forward to add some specific categories to help us categorize things. These can be found in the classification schemes under report category. Click on that, load it up, and then you can see at the bottom I've just added in ref and library, so that I can, when I'm doing my reports, I can just select category and go ref. So all my ref reports are located there rather than in research, maintenance, performance, miscellaneous. I've added my own categories in to make it very clear. Okay, so sorry to whiz through those, but those are just some of my quick top tips for it, and I shall now hand over to Laura.
Thanks. Just a note, Laura, we're at 3:13 left.
Okay, thanks. I'll be as quick as I can. So just to leave this slide up for a second, because hopefully some of Chris's top tips have just blown your mind. We've had Pure at Manchester for quite a number of years, and there's things certainly that I didn't know before Chris had done his rehearsal, so thanks, Chris. Just a quick introduction. My name's Laura Turner. I manage Pure at the University of Manchester in the UK, and I work with Dan and Chris to sort of coordinate what we believe are reporting priorities for the UK user group, which I think probably makes the three of us the geekiest members of the UK user group. So apologies, Dan and Chris, I think we probably are. We love reporting. And I was really pleased to hear Sarah speak before about wanting everything. We're exactly the same in the UK. We want everything, and we drive Nicolaj mad. So in order to not sort of tip Elsevier over the edge with some of the things that we want in the UK, what we decided to do was try and take a look at all the things, all the different JIRAs that we'd logged in the UK about all the different fields that we wanted and the filters that we wanted. To do was make it really easy for UK institutions to decide on what their priorities were. And you'll know, looking through the wiki, finding the JIRAs sometimes that you want is incredibly difficult. So one of the things that we did was we created a bespoke page on the Elsevier wiki site, and that shows all the priority reporting JIRAs that have been reported by the UK institutions, and it also shows a voting tally. So what we do is we look at what are the priorities for the UK user group, and then we put those priorities to Nicolaj and other colleagues, and we ask them for updates on when we think those different bits of functionality will be delivered. So that's the sort of way that we're trying to wade through what can seem like an almost endless sea of JIRAs sometimes. So I'm really pleased to report that the JIRA that we in the UK thought was the most important thing was reporting on organisational hierarchies. So big smiles all around from us. We're super pleased to see that start to be delivered in 5.19. Of course, we want that functionality on all content types, on all modules. We want it tomorrow because that's just the way that we are, but we're pleased to see that this is a start. So the screenshot below just gives you an idea of what our page on the wiki looks like, and it shows you the priority JIRAs, and it gives Elsevier a space to leave comments on those priorities as well.
Super. I think so. There's a number of great questions that have come through. I'm going to encourage people to take those to the forum because I think they're relevant to a lot of users. And so I'd like to thank Laura and Dan and Chris and Nicolaj, who had to leave, but it's very helpful. Like all the tips, like all the ideas. Go team.